Hall of Fame sports writer Grant Hall with us on Halftime on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline on a Wednesday morning as usual. Good morning, Grant. What's up? How you doing?
Howdy, boys.
Yeah.
Howdy, boys.
So I felt kind of stupid about this just because. So this past weekend for the Vanderbilt series, Matt, Vanderbilt has a player who's from a place called Trophy Club, Texas. Yeah. It's built. It's a little enclave north of Dallas that's built around a Ben Hogan designed.
I was going to say
club.
a deer ranch, but it's golf. Okay, all right.
Now the kid's last name is Nelson, which did make me wonder if he might have been related to a very famous golfer with the same name. They didn't have that in his bio or not, but I forgot to tell this to Grant. But as soon as I mentioned Trophy Club, Texas, Grant had some information on the town.
Well, it was the Ben Hogan project back in the day, and he designed the course to have an optimum place to hit every tee shot the way he would like to play a course. If you want to hit it on the right side of the fairway, hit it on the left side, and so forth. And but I heard that it wasn't a great course, and after a while, I think maybe he ran into issues with the people who were financing it. But I guess it's still there, and I hope it's a good course now.
And just by the name of the town in and of itself, something tells me that the median housing price there is a little bit more so than the rest of Dallas-Fort Worth. All right, Grant, we got a baseball game yesterday. 7-4, Arkansas beats Grambling. Didn't get really good news, though, about Parker Coyle. I heard about it pregame from Dave Van Horn and Matt Hobbs. I know they talked about it postgame. A back injury going to keep him out for about 4, maybe 5 weeks. So, yeah, you're going to need somebody else to step into a very important role that he wasn't able to serve this last weekend. And I'll say this, it's a good thing Aiden Jimenez is pitching as well as he is now.
Yeah, you got this Gibbler kid who's coming in and striking out everybody. Is he making a bid for that closer role?
I think he'll pitch in relief on weekends. I don't know if he'll finish a game. The way that I see this now is you have pitchers that they will allow to try to finish a ball game when they get the ball, just like they did with Kevin Kopps, maybe not like the third or fourth inning, but Ben Bybee and Aiden Jimenez. It's not a closer by committee, but it's almost like a designated closer by day. As long as you're pitching well, those two guys, they get a ball with the lead, they'll have a chance to finish the game.
And meanwhile, I heard you say that Gage Wood may be able to come back by Georgia, possibly.
They're hoping for that. There's nothing set in stone, but they are hoping for that. It's like you kind of hope that if you lose a pitcher to injury, maybe you get a guy back. Doesn't always work that way, but it may work out that way for next week.
Well, this team's averaging 9+ runs per game, hitting 320 or 330 now, something like that. I noted one thing of note is that every starter in the 9-person lineup has at least 4 home runs. So they've got home run power all up and down through the lineup, which I don't ever remember an Arkansas team having to that degree. Do you, Phil?
Yeah, the 2018 and the 2019 teams, they both had plenty of power up and down the lineup. I think this team may have a little bit more in terms of speed, not in base stealing, but just in overall foot speed, I think. So they might have a little bit of a different edge than those 18 and 19 lineups had, but those also were really long lineups, 1 through 9. And that's what stands out right now about this lineup is that there are spots in the lineup because of this caboose gang that Thomas and Helfrich and Souza have going, and they hurt you in a little bit of different ways than the guys that are 1 through 6. They're fast. They set the table for guys like Davalon and Aloy. And man, I mean, it's a symbiotic lineup right now.
Well, it's too bad they can't play 3 today, although we did get a storm here a while ago, and I think it was supposed to be nice this afternoon. But the weekend, I mean, everybody's looking at Missouri with a 0-9 record, and they're afraid that they won't get all the games in, So I hope there's a way to get all 3 in this weekend.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Grant, you want to talk about this Final Four, or you want to talk about the NFL draft?
Well, either one, but somewhere in here I want to insert a couple of quick golf items, Matt, because a good friend of mine, Tag Ridings, won $190,000 over the weekend. He got second place in a Tour Champions event that he had to qualify for. And he's been out there doing it for a long time. I remember asking him when he started out at the University of Arkansas, how long are you giving yourself? He said, I'm going to make it. You know, I mean, that was wonderful. And then John Daly II won a tournament, a one-day 36-hole college tournament. And when he finished 2-3-3-3-3, he was 6 under on his last 5 holes. And that was in Pennsylvania on Monday. And so he's now won one more college event than his dad did in the University of Arkansas. John Daly never won a college tournament. He won some majors, you know, and some pro tournaments, obviously. So good for John II. And then I'm going in a couple of days to the Augusta National Women's Amateur, where Arkansas's got 2 kids, Kendall Todd and Marie-Jose Marine, who were the semifinalists in the U.S. Amateur last year at Tulsa. And both have done. Kendall just recently shot a 61 last week, which is a collegiate record, I believe, ties a collegiate record. So all that's going on. And, yeah, I went to the football yesterday, Matt. I like Kittler. I like what Caden Kittler had to say about the offensive line. And I didn't realize he'd had a relationship with Green, the quarterback. I guess he went on a visit to Boise State and met him there, and they were actually roommates for a couple of weeks when he came to Arkansas. So he's the Arkansas center now and likes it here. And so they're, about halfway, about halfway through spring ball. And the Final Four, I've got 3 of the teams, Matt. I've got Auburn, Florida, and Duke, and I've got Duke winning it, and I'm sticking with that. Cooper Flagg's been fantastic all through the tournament. Do you agree, or do you like somebody else?
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because you got Minwoo Lee held off Scotty Scheffler for his first PGA Tour win. If you remember, he was like the leader after 36 holes at Sawgrass just a couple weeks ago, so that was cool to see. I actually have Houston over Michigan State in my bracket. That was kind of the thought, is the 2 best teams in the tournament, Grant, before this tournament started. Florida, Duke, if they're playing their best, I didn't think anybody could beat either one of those 2 teams, and that's what it kind of looks like. And do you give this tournament, I saw that it was the highest watched tournament since like 93 on the ratings wise, and it was real chalky. What are your kind of overall thoughts on March Madness right now?
Yeah, I kind of wondered how that would play, the fact that you've got these 1 seeds and everything, and I think first time in maybe the second time ever, is that right?
08 was the last time.
Yeah. And so, but the tournament, I thought, came alive last week. The buzzer beater by the kid from Maryland, and there were some other really good finishes, including, obviously an Arkansas's game. By the way, St. John's is already replenishing its roster for next year, and Luis is not coming. I guess he's not coming back there. He may go to the NBA. All these, I saw where Michigan State has already lost 3 guys for next year. That kind of surprised you a little bit.
The kid he let kiss on the Spartan, and then he was quoted out. It's a very Hunter Dickinson. You can't blame these kids, but he said, "Who's going to pay me the most?" That was kind of what the quote was coming out. And it's like, I get it, but man, I guess that's the way college basketball is now.
Yeah, and college football, in the sense that you've got, like I read this story today about state income taxes, and some people think the reason Carson Beck went from Georgia to Miami was that Florida has no state income tax. There's only 9 states that don't have it. Texas doesn't have it. Tennessee doesn't have it, and Florida. So 3 of those are in the SEC.
Well, Mississippi now too. I think Mississippi just repealed theirs.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, just the other day.
Well, I know there's some other ones. Yeah, the other ones are busy trying to, because of this NIL stuff, and it's amazing how it's affecting everything. But anyway, I think you asked me one other question that I think I glossed.
Well, here's the NFL draft's coming up, and things are kind of shaking out as far as I think the evaluators and everything's kind of coming down. And I didn't know if you had a can't-miss prospect, if it was that tight end from Penn State, maybe even the defensive end from Penn State. And then what did you think on those quarterbacks? How many quarterbacks do you think could be taken in the first round?
Well, I was reading something today about how some team thought that they might get somebody at 18 or 19, and kind of looking at I guess it was Pittsburgh talking about, because they've been talking to Aaron Rodgers, and that seems to be on hold. I mean, do you think they're waiting to see what maybe they can get? Can they get a quarterback in the draft?
Tomlin said the funniest thing yesterday. He said he was comfortable with Mason Rudolph starting.
Yes.
No, you're not.
He did say
You're
that.
definitely not comfortable with Mason
That's why
Rudolph.
Tomlin's a player's coach, and all his players love him.
Yeah, and he's got.
That's why we traded Mason last year.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be on a quarterback, maybe, but the whole Aaron. You could not pit a more different player with a more different organization than Aaron Rodgers with the Pittsburgh Steelers. For one thing, it's a franchise that doesn't go in to get free agent quarterbacks. And the player is never bigger than the franchise there. I mean, that's just always how it's been. And it just, I don't know. If it's a one-year thing, maybe it works out. But looking from just the tendencies of these two sides, it doesn't seem like a match made in heaven.
Well, it's just goofy enough that it might work, Where's the other team? I'd read there's one other team he's sort of looking at still.
Minnesota.
Yeah, maybe.
He wants to go to San Fran as well. I think those are his three teams, and I agree with Phil. I just don't think he fits Pittsburgh. I don't know if maybe Shadur Sanders fell down if you have that high, because it only takes – you just got to impress one team, and if one team really likes you, they'll get you. I hear Jackson Dart's rising up the boards as far as going to be a first. I mean, he could possibly be there at 18. Do you think he's kind of a little? I don't know if squirrely is the right word, but he's got a little bit of like he can move. I don't think he's a first round pick, but he could fit Pittsburgh, I guess.
Yeah, that's the perfect word to describe him, Matt. I think so. Squirrely.
Squirrely's a good one. That's right. Landon
right.
Jackson's going to be the first Razorback to go. It feels like Armstrong's moving up boards too.
He had a great. He had some great numbers too, didn't he?
I think I don't think there's any way he falls outside the top 40 picks. I think about pick 25, you should start looking for. About pick 25 to 45, you should start looking for his name.
I mean, I think we'll all be fascinated by where Tesla goes because he was a workout darling at the combine.
He catches everything. And speaking of that, Arkansas's got a couple of kids. Shanks, who's 5'8", who can catch it. And what's the other kid? I've already forgotten his name. Who's only like 6 feet tall. Sissy, the Cisse, if I'm saying his name
from
right.
Fresno, right?
Yeah. Well, is that right? Fresno,
was it Stanford or Fresno? I think
Stanford.
Ismail Cisse
yeah.
is the one you're talking about here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. But he can catch it also. So both those guys are, I think, potentially exciting. Players just because they're not 6'4", like everybody else.
Yeah, Cissa's from Stanford. Yeah, 6 foot 200. Yeah, that's
it'd be. You know what'd be interesting, Phil? That Reposado, and I know I'm getting his name wrong because I know it's not Reposado, but it's that he led Miami in catching. Like was the absolute stud. Ran a
Restrepo.
Yeah, ran a 4.88 40 at his combine. Who do you think has more?
Wow.
Who has more success in the NFL, Tesla or Reposado?
It's interesting. That's a good
Tesla.
See, I think so. I think so too, Grant.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Even if your bracket is busted, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with a free Sweet 16 bracket and live betting on every remaining tournament game. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, and MMA, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.